it just took a turn for the worst. You can see there's a ton of brown algae grown on that back wall. I just want to take a look, see what they got. Start a nano tank like really soon. That's a really big koi. Whoa. Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are getting the first living thing that I have had in this apartment. Like, I'm going to get some new additions for the fish room, the first ones. Don't worry, because I'll be getting bettas very soon for this tank, but we have a bit of an issue, so let's get into it. Let me tell you what the problem is. Hopefully the solution works, and then we'll go ahead and get our new tank member. Before we fully get into that, make sure to send your fan art. I want to go ahead and fill up this whole wall. Send your fan art to my Instagram at planet.fishness or my email fishnessfans@gmail.com. But if you didn't know, I set up this divided betta tank a little while ago, and what happened was I set it up, I reached out to some companies for plants. Thankfully, one of the companies actually did send out these plants that I would need for this tank. Go ahead and put their information in the description down below, but thank you to them for sending out the plants. Unfortunately, when I went to go to some stores to get the rocks for the aquarium, everyone was out of rocks for some reason. I have no idea what the reason was. There was like some rock shortage in my area or something, but nowhere around me had rocks, so I kept waiting and kept waiting, and unfortunately the plants started to die. They were doing really well at first. I'll put up a picture right now. That's what the plants looked like when I got them in. They were nice and healthy, very green, sturdy plants, and they lasted for a couple weeks. Unfortunately, I did have to move this tank because if you remember, it was in my bedroom. I had to move it out of my bedroom, put the tank in here. I figured there could be some melting of the plants, and unfortunately, it just took a turn for the worst. Because if you didn't know, when you have new plants, you really should just put them in the tank and leave them alone, because it can stress the plants out to have to be rooted and rerooted and rerooted. So unfortunately, they all started melting. All these plants over here, there weren't plants on this side initially, but I figured, you know what, maybe I can salvage some of them and spread them out a little bit more and put them over here, which these have been doing a little bit better, I would say, than these over here. And still to this day, I don't have any rocks, so I may not even ever put rocks in this aquarium, but if I do, I'll get the rocks before or at the same time as the betta. That's also what's kind of been delaying these videos, because I've been trying to get supplies in. For some reason, like, everyone's out of them. Once a week or every like 9 days, I have been dosing it with this right here, which was really working at first, really helping everything to grow. But then once I moved the tank and had to reroot them, unfortunately, it just kind of all went downhill. As you can see, there's a ton of brown algae grown on that back wall. All of these sides of the tank have a ton of brown algae, and I recently cleaned it with this razor blade right here. And I took out some more dead plants, but that still hasn't helped, and there is so much dead plant. And even the Amazon sword back there has some brown on it, which is unfortunate, but they are a sturdy plant, so that one shouldn't have a problem coming back. One of my main concerns is this dwarf hairgrass right here. I accidentally put all of it together when I was getting the rocks, or when I thought I was getting the rocks. So I put all the dwarf hairgrass just kind of plopped in there because I thought I was getting rocks the next day. And then as time went on, I was like, well, I can't move them because they're in their rooting process, so I want them to be healthy. So as you can see, unfortunately, there's just a ton of dead plants. Literally, pretty much every single plant is almost completely dead, and a ton of brown algae. In hopes of saving this tank, I'm gonna go to the fish store and try and get some shrimp, a snail, maybe even two, to hopefully bring this tank back to life with all of its plants before we get a betta in here, so that the betta can just be happy and not have to deal with all these dead plants, because the betta doesn't deserve that. And the shrimp and snails love to eat it. So let's go to the fish store and see what we can find. I had my chocolate milk for breakfast, so now I'm good to go in and we need a shrimp and a snail. I might get 2 shrimp and 1 snail, but we gotta see what they have to offer. Are you sleeping on my watch? All right, I gotta grab my mask. Gotta get this on here. And my hood is up because it is like 10 o'clock in the morning, and no, I wasn't even supposed to be out, but let's go in. Hopefully they have the shrimp and snail I'm looking for. Hoping to get like a narite snail because they eat brown algae, and I'm having a brown algae problem. So let's go in and see what they got. It's going to be the first time I buy something that is living, I guess, while in my apartment. So it's kind of exciting. Hopefully that's something good. Still haven't gotten the betta yet for the tank, but they don't have many to choose from here. I don't think I'm gonna get one today, but I just want to take a look, see what they got. They also do have an entire pond in here. That's a really big koi. I haven't been in the fish store in so long, like a really long time. I need this goldfish right here. He's so cute. I love his pattern. Oh, and that one too. They're too cute.
Ramshorn Snail, but that's not what I'm looking for today. I need something that eats algae. That is a cool looking shrimp right there. It's like neon green. The camera can't even pick it up how green it is. They also do have some rabbit snails, which are literally giant. They're like 2 inches long. I'm really not sure what snail to get because they're all kind of bigger and they're not exactly what I want, but I may have to get it to take care of the algae problem and then switch over to something else. Also, they have a ton of nano fish here, so I think I'm gonna start a nano tank like really soon. Like maybe I'll even set it up tomorrow or something because they have a ton of nano fish here. So the supply is really good. There's even a little fry in here if you can see it. Sitting right down there. I think I decided I am gonna get this Ramshorn Snail. I think it is. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get this one. And then I need to figure out what shrimp I want to get. I have a bunch of different shrimp in this tank down here, so I gotta pick out a couple in here.
And just one.
How about the one on?
Did you get that about the tall light one?
Yeah. Yeah, I need this one. There's secured or inverts here. I got a snail and 2 shrimp. Just for you.
Oh, you're at my window hands me.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. You're eating gummy bears. But we finally secured some sort of living thing. I haven't had anything. I haven't literally gotten a fish, shrimp, snail until now. And I'm excited for it. A lot more tanks coming and a lot more animals as well. Whoa, my hair is a mess. I'll see you guys at home so we can go ahead and acclimate these guys into the tank and hopefully save our plants because they're dying. They're literally dying. And hopefully these will take care of the brown algae problem as well. Right here we have our, there we go. I'll give a closer look to these in a second. We do have to acclimate them, so I gotta get that set up too. And all I know is that they have a lot of stuff to eat in here, so they are not gonna be hungry, that's for sure. So I think to acclimate them, I'm gonna go ahead and use this container. I just rinsed it out, just make sure it's all clean. But this way we can put our 2 shrimp and our snail in here with all their water and slowly get some water from the tank to acclimate them to that. Got a little hole right here. All right, now hopefully all of you come out into this bucket here. Whoa, uh-oh. Did not mean to drop it, sorry. 2 shrimp and our snail in here now. Let me get the rest of this water out. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to do with drip acclimation, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this little water bottle top right here and just get some water out of the tank and put it into our acclimation bucket right there. And even though it's gonna take a while, I gotta keep doing it until we have about double the water volume that is in there currently, so that it's half of the water they came from and half of the water from the new tank. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm really excited to finally have something living in this tank or just in the fish room. We literally have an entire fish room without any fish. But I definitely am thinking of doing that nano tank, so comment down below some nano fish or nano inhabitants that you want to see in that tank and what size I should do. I kind of want to do a 5-gallon nano tank, maybe a 10-gallon, but I really want to do a 5-gallon to just have that like tiny like little ecosystem of like some different shrimp and some fish and just kind of have the whole thing like really planted and stuff, even better planted than this. If you've ever acclimated something with a bottle cap, it takes a while. I didn't really have anything else in the fish room to go ahead and acclimate them, so I just used that. And then I ended up switching over to the bag. I just kind of like filled the bag with the water and slowly dripped it in. Gotta get creative sometime. But seriously, these shrimp and this snail are going to have a field day with how much algae is in here. And after they're in this side for a while, because there's more plants on this side, I'm trying to save all of these mostly. I'm gonna put them over here and just see what'll happen because there isn't a filter on this side and there's a ton of algae. It is even covering the glass, so I wonder how well the snail will do with that. All right, I got the camera set up and I'm gonna go ahead and get our shrimp and our snail in here now. I'm gonna go ahead and just hold this. All right, so here's our snail right here. I forget what kind of snail this is. I honestly completely forget. There's our snail. I'm gonna go ahead and just plop it in. I think I'll put it like right down here so we can see it in the front. And then for our shrimp, I'm gonna go ahead and use this strainer because I lost my net. I don't know where it went. I bought one and I literally cannot find it. So this is the closest thing to a net. Plus it's better because it's this metal mesh right here as opposed to like the other netting where their legs can get stuck and stuff like that. We have our 2 shrimp in here, as you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and just set them down. Be free, little shrimp. Be free, do your job. Please, I'll put them near this plant. Maybe they'll just get off on there. Go ahead. Go on to the plant. Yep. There we go. Right in. Yep. There you go. Right into the dwarf hair grass. Thank you. Now we have our little snail right there, and good thing I got these shrimp because I didn't know what color to get for the shrimp, knowing that I will be putting a betta in here very, very soon. Even if it didn't work out, I could always put the shrimp and the snail on this side, but I did want to get some shrimp that I thought would maybe not be too noticeable to the betta, and already I've lost them. There's only one over there. I have no idea where the other one is, but they're going to get to work, and I'm gonna leave them alone for right now. So we'll still see them, but the betta will probably have a little bit harder time seeing them. As you can see right there, kind of just looks like a plant. So I'll be back with an update in a little bit on our new tank mates. Okay, so it is like 5 or 6 days later, I don't even know, but I want to show you guys how well the shrimp and snail are doing, how well they cleaned up the tank, because it looks completely different. Mystery snail right here. And it does look to be a little bit bigger than when I purchased it. And this thing has cleaned up so much. For example, that entire back part of the aquarium is now clear. There's no more brown algae. That side doesn't really have any as well. The Amazon sword is now basically completely green, and obviously there is some melting of the plant still, but they have done a really good job cleaning it all up. And also, we have some new growth right on top. Originally there was a part that was growing, like a new plant on top growing, but it did end up dying when I moved the tanks. However, there is now another one growing, if you can see it right there. There's like 3 little leaves and a nice little root growing. So we actually have some new growth on the Amazon sword. Nothing was ever really wrong with this Anubias up here, but it is still looking really good. The dwarf hairgrass is also looking pretty good, and there is some new growth over here as well. The right side of it seems to not be doing as well, but still it is getting really cleaned up. It's starting to grow kind of crazily on top. And I forget what plant that is, but it completely melted and now it is fully back, right back there. I think it is a stem plant. So if you can see all those new leaves, there's like 10 new leaves, and originally, maybe I'll try and put the footage up right next to this, but if you guys remember how that plant looked back there, it was totally wiped out. So here's like an overall view of the aquarium. Like I said, all those plants, all these Anubias, the melon sword, that, I forget what that plant is back there with the stems, the Amazon sword, all kind of came back, and the dwarf hairgrass is doing pretty well also. So that snail and wherever the shrimp are, I gotta find the shrimp. Here's the shrimp right down here, but the shrimp and the snail have really turned this aquarium around and really saved all these plants here. The next step is to put them on this side, because this side is now looking even worse, and see what they can do on here. But I think that it looks completely different and a lot better now that I have the shrimp and snail in here, because they've really cleaned up this tank. Like, there are now green plants in here as opposed to all those brown plants we saw. Also, I am going to get a betta today or tomorrow. I'm going to be making the trip and going to a few different pet stores and finding the perfect betta to put on this side. So make sure you stay tuned for probably not the next video, but the video after that, and I will be buying a betta, the first betta for our divided betta. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how good the shrimp and snail are doing themselves and also in the tank, because they really cleaned up this thing. Like, I am so glad that I made the purchases instead of just thinking that the plants were going to completely die off, which also I do understand new plants typically do die off in an aquarium when they're first introduced or when they have to reroot, but I was just getting really worried. I didn't want all my plants to die. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for 70,000 subscribers. I think we just hit that this morning. Thank you everyone for that. Next thing is 100,000. We are going for 100,000. We're gonna hit that 100,000, I'm telling you. But yeah, that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Finally me getting some stuff for the fish room. I haven't literally bought a fish or a shrimp or a snail in probably like 6 months. So now I'm on a roll. I'm gonna keep buying them, and this room is gonna get taken over by tanks. I already know it. It's just gonna happen. So make sure you stay tuned for all those videos, and I will see you guys in a couple days with a brand new video and a new betta. Bye.